I had my first baby and suffered pretty badly from postpartum, but didn't really realize it until I was out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a type A person. I worked in finance. Like there was no opportunity for me to breathe and take a pause. And I wanted to also prove to myself, like, I can be a new mom. I can handle this high pressure job. Like I've got it. And I did. But internally, I was like falling apart.
Welcome back to the Women of Fort Mill podcast. I'm Leah Williams, one of your co-hosts, and I've been so looking forward to this episode to spend some time with Diana. She has an incredible story, and I can't wait for her to share it with you. You know, Women of Fort Mill, we are all about going deep, sharing real stories so that we can impact lives and live a better, more full life, especially as we just entered 2026. I can't believe I'm saying that. So Diana Rizkowski, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I'll share a little bit about you, and then I want you to just dive in and share your story. I can't wait for everyone to hear it. Diana is a former corporate marketing executive who followed a very different calling. Completely changed her path. One that led her into holistic health, sound healing, and creating spaces where women can truly exhale. She's the host of the Women's Wellness Authority podcast and the founder of several incredible wellness communities. Diana, I'm so glad you're here. Could you give us a snapshot of what radically changed your life from corporate life, and we know all the things that come with that, to completely changing not only what daily life looks like for you, but who you're serving. I mean, life just looks completely different now. So I'd love for you to share that transition. And
yeah, of course. And thank you so much for having me, and happy New Year's to all the listeners. I was in the corporate world for over 20 years, and it's interesting, and the timing of this is kind of perfect because this time last year, I felt, well, I had been for quite a while, just not feeling fully aligned and really not feeling like my cup was being filled in what I was doing day to day. And around this time last year, I had reached out to a coach that I had worked with for years and said, okay, I'm ready to start building my dream on the side. And maybe in 2 to 3 years, I will leave my corporate job and go after it full time. I think because I was like so ready, the universe heard me and decided, no, you're not going to wait 2 to 3 years. And a month later, I was part of massive layoffs at my company.
Wow.
And that provided me a massive opportunity to really start fresh. And I fully embraced that. And I actually had called my coach that day and said, you're not going to believe what happened. And she was like, this is happening for you, not to you.
Right.
And those are words that have really stuck with me. And then I went on a walk with my dad, just like talking through, what am I going to do now? And that's sort of where the creation of the podcast started, just in that conversation with him. Because my ultimate dream was to create a wellness center. It still is to create a wellness center and a space for women where they can feel seen and heard and explore alternative modalities.
Which your podcast is incredible, by the way. Everyone should go listen. We will tag it in the show notes so that you can follow it and listen to the episodes. So when we had an introduction meeting, I can't even remember when it was. It feels like so long ago. And you shared a little bit more of your story, what your approach to holistic wellness looks like now. A lot of what you do now is impacted by things that happened in the past, how you grew up, postpartum journey, and all of the things that, not that men don't experience a lot of these too, because they need all this work just as much. But I think women experience it in a much deeper way, many times because we're having the children. We're, some of the things that only women can do, the emotional and physical and mental changes that come with that are challenging unless you have the right tools. So could you unpack that a little bit more of how some of these health and life things in your own personal life brought you here too?
Sure. So I was raised with a holistic background. My brother was vaccine injured at a very young age, and my mom was seeking answers and was hitting walls really on the traditional medicine side. And so she was really sort of desperate for answers and help because he was just sick all the time and had a lot of behavioral issues. And so I, at that time, was like 8. So I don't really remember, but all I know is that because of the help she sought, so she found chiropractic care and then got into homeopathy and then herbs. That was the foundation of health from my childhood. So anytime we were sick, we went to a chiropractor or I got herbs. And I didn't go to a traditional pediatrician. And that's just the way I was raised. So foundationally, that's always been there. And then many years later, I had my first baby and suffered pretty badly from postpartum, but didn't really realize it until I was out of it. I'm a type A person. I worked in finance. Like there was no opportunity for me to breathe and take a pause. And I wanted to also prove to myself, like, I can be a new mom. I can handle this high pressure job, but like I've got it. And I did, but internally I was like falling apart. So when I got pregnant the second time around, I was so scared to experience all of that again. And so I started researching alternative ways to support my nutrition and also my emotions. And that's how I got into essential oils. So that was like my gateway back to where I foundationally was raised. And that was 7.5 years ago. And I haven't looked back. And so creating this wellness business for me is like coming home. It's not starting from scratch. It's returning back to all the things that I learned when I was younger and just creating building blocks for myself to help educate others to learn all of the things that I've learned and experienced.
Well, I was going to ask you what one of the hardest things in that pretty radical transition, partly because it wasn't in your original timeframe, that it was a 100% transition. But right after you said that, I thought, well, maybe it wasn't hard. Maybe it was just so aligned that you felt ease. But was there anything that was challenging, whether it was identity or anything that you felt as you made this quick transfer over to what was home for you and what was is your purpose? But do you find anything hard?
Yeah, I would say so. Creating your own business can be isolating and is difficult. So, there's days where I am like on top of the mountain and there's days where I'm in the valley. And those are where you learn and you grow and expand. I think the biggest shift for me, and I'm like an overly positive person. So when I say that being laid off was happening for me, that is how I perceive a lot of things in my life. And so those 20 plus years to me were me building and preparing myself to run my own business. Because in all roles that I had, I was always in marketing, but I created content. I worked with people to help develop social media. I might have not gotten as deep as I have to get now to like run my own books, but I have enough education and knowledge because of all those experience to bring me into the next chapter. The thing I think I miss the most is the collaboration. Because now I am my own marketer, my own bookkeeper, my own content creator, and I'm all the things. And so it's really been rewarding and challenging to manage my time in a way that I can be successful in all the things that I want to create for everyone. My ultimate thing that drives me and fills my cup is helping others, helping women in particular. And so that's foundationally where I start on everything.
Well, from the outside looking in, you can tell you're in marketing. Everything looks beautiful. There are some of us that don't have that talent, and that's why we hire other people to help. And I think I even told you this. I mean, you are growing your podcast so fast. You look at your Instagram page, everything is just aesthetically aligned. It looks so good. But I want to quickly go back to one thing that you said. You're type A. You get things done, and you can tell that immediately upon meeting you, that you're a person where if you say you're going to do something, you get it done. It's timely. And I appreciate that and recognize that in people. But I know what comes with that is glazing over really hard things, being hard on yourself to feel like, yes, I know I just had a baby, but I also have this job and I'm also a spouse and I can do it all. Why would I not be able to? And we set our limits, or what we think our limits should be, so high. And for a lot of us, I think we have these sometimes self-created traumas or things that we've gone through, and we have just brushed over them like nothing happened. And then we beat ourselves up for feeling like having a down day or just being exhausted sometimes. Do you work with women, and do you find that that's common, especially for this personality type that a lot of us share, is that there's so much hidden there that's starting to manifest in other ways that we've just been like, nope, we're going, we're moving, we're not slowing down?
Honestly, yes. I see it with everybody. It doesn't matter if you're in corporate America, if you're a stay-at-home mom, if you have kids or you don't have kids. Our society has set up that we are supposed to be balancing 25 plates while wearing a gorgeous dress, perfect makeup. Like, I just feel like our society has created this unrealistic life for women. And women are different than men because we also carry a massive mental load on top of all the responsibilities. We're always thinking of like 4 or 5 steps ahead. And so, yeah, and I think not enough people talk about it. Makes you say, I look really polished and that means the world to me. But some days I don't feel like that at all. And I am my own worst enemy. And I think that a lot of women can probably acknowledge and admit that they do the same thing. I'm very, very hard on myself. And I think that's come from a culture of growing up with a family run business. Like my dad, my grandfather, my uncle ran. So it was always around work talk. Mm-hmm. And then to go into an industry where that behavior is rewarded. This last year has been really a journey for me because I have to break some of these things that have been a big part of me for a very, very long time. Because it does, in the long term, it affects all of our health. And I was not healthy last year. Before I got let go, I had been ignoring my health. I had a horrible thermography scan. I had gained 25, 30 pounds. I was not myself, right? So I was physically like carrying the weight of not being happy in my professional life.
Well, and you're doing the work yourself. You're helping other people, but it's, applicable daily. Can you share about some of the modalities that you use? I am so excited to experience them in person. So for those of you joining us for the Women of Fort Mill Summit on January 10th, Diana will be leading a sound bowl session. I have done this virtually with her. And wow, it came on a very stressful day. That was all I was thinking about. We just have to get to 8:00 and then I'll be in sound bowl. And it was amazing. But can you share a little bit about the sound bowl work, what it is, what it does, and then some of the other modalities that you use in your work with women?
Yeah. So I kind of just like stumbled upon the sound healing. I felt called to it. And sound is such a profound tool for healing. I just talked about being stressed and balancing multiple plates. A lot of women, a majority of women and men in the United States have dysregulated nervous systems. Mm-hmm. So that means that, and I'll just maybe share like 5 symptoms. If you feel like you have short patience, you're snapping at people, you're doom scrolling, which by the way, I had no idea that was a sign. If you're on your phone and just an hour later, you're like, what did I just do? Right. And you're just constantly feeling overwhelmed. Those are signs that your nervous system is dysregulated. And I'll say, like, I'm in that camp. I am working on regulating that. Sound is an amazing tool to create that balance and help your nervous system regulate naturally. And oftentimes I get a question like, well, what do I do when I come to a class? And you simply just lay on a yoga mat and you let the sound do what it needs to do. There's different frequencies that work with different chakras in the body, but your experience could be very different than mine because we are 2 different humans. We have 2 different bodies and energy levels, and this sound will work with us and our bodies know what to do with it, which I think is really powerful. What I also like to share with people, if you think of like the surface of water and you drop a rock and you see like the vibration sort of move out. That's what's happening at a cellular level when you experience sound therapy, is that it's going at a cellular level and helping, shed some of the stuff that's in your cells that you don't need. It's working on your nervous system and it's having a multi-system impact. So it's pretty, for something that I like just stumbled into, it just ends up being fully aligned to my mission. And I also been just about to finish energy healing work with 2 of the speakers that are going to actually be at the event. They're my mentors, Jen and Helen, and all the energy work and the sound work works hand in hand together too, because it's just helping create balance. So that your body can then heal itself.
Even virtually, the impact that the sound had, which I knew it would be, but it was kind of a test to see, okay, this is on Zoom. How do I feel? Yeah, I'm sure it's even more powerful in person, but it's like your body just drinks it up. The sound, it's like it craves it because it does exactly what you said. It regulates and it brings calm to all of the areas of your body, which allows them to function. Because I talk about this with one of my friends all the time. We're constantly in fight or flight, whether we want to recognize it or not. And we have to build these things in. And I'm still working on doing exactly what I just said, building these things in. But the second you put yourself in an environment that your body's supposed to be in and how it's supposed to feel.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
That night on the call, I was like, why is this over right now? I just want to keep on going. It's just so.
And I do, in the summertime, I do floats, which is such a different experience. You get to sit on essentially an air mattress floating in a pool on
Oh,
Lake Wylie. So it's beautiful with the sun setting.
wow.
And when it gets later in the summer, it's sunny. And then when you wake up, it's dark. It's such a beautiful experience. And again, a way for me just to help women regulate their nervous system and just take a little bit of that self-care.
So everyone, you need sound healing in your life. Your first opportunity will be January 10th to come. Dinah will be there. What are the other ways that people can plug in and get resources? So there's the podcast, which you bring incredible guests on when it warms up a little bit. They can do float sessions, but do you have other classes at studios for sound healing? And how else can women plug in and get some of this goodness in their life?
So I can do private events at homes. I also can do corporate events, which I've done in Charlotte. I've gone to companies and done that as sort of a wellness exercise for a team. And I hope to get into studios in the local area, but I also will be in some local businesses. So Just Hair Salon in Lake Wylie and also Playtime Cafe. I will be doing winter classes there. So that's just two ways for me to, again, and also, Leah, I have to say the first time I met you too, it was so clear you wanted me to succeed. And it was like so beautiful. I could get choked up because so many women in this area are so supportive of each other. It's amazing. It's really amazing. And so, I'm going to be with local businesses in the Lake Wylie area because I don't have actual brick and mortar for myself yet. But that's just a way to support their business and for them to support me, which is pretty cool.
It is. And I think that's what Kelly and I love so much about this community is that they're genuinely wonderful women. There is no competition. It is simply, hey, you seem like an amazing person. Maybe we could be friends. Maybe I could help you in your business. And we're just open to opportunity. And from that comes such wonderful things. I mean, that is the greatest thing that has come from this podcast. It was a year ago exactly that Kelly and I took over, started this. And I was thinking about, what's come from the podcast. And technically it didn't even make sense for Kelly and I to do it because we didn't have the capacity, but it has been one of the greatest blessings in my life because of you, because of women that we have met through events and bringing them on that I never would have been connected to. Helen and Jen, who you mentioned, I met through Katie Linden. I met her because of the podcast. I mean, it's just, so when I think about it, it's changed my life to meet these beautiful women.
And it's just because you and Kelly just had this vision, right? And look at all the women that you've impacted. So it's pretty incredible. And I also am going to be building this year a mama collective. Like during my pregnancy and my postpartum journey, I had such a community of women and new time moms that were life-changing for me. And I want to create that same experience and environment and community locally. And so I will be building out groups for pregnant mamas and postpartum mamas to support each other. And that's giving them access to local experts, helping educate them about all different things. And also just giving them space to interact with each other and for them to not feel alone. So that would be my mom collective.
Well, we've been talking about having baby number 2. If that ever happens, I'm plugging in. Could you highlight quickly? I know I've talked about this and said, you guys should come January 10th. That's when you'll have access in person.
Yeah.
But can you walk us through what your session on January 10th, and it's the Women of Fort Mill Change Your Story event happening in Fort Mill, January 10th. Diana will be leading a session. Can you walk us through what that session is going to be like?
Sure. So we have an incredible lineup of women throughout the day. I get to end the day, which I think is just so incredibly beautiful. We'll be doing a 30-minute sound healing session. And so after consuming all this wonderful information, you're going to feel so inspired. You then get to end the day by taking one big deep breath. And so you'll bring your yoga mat, lay out, and then just enjoy the sound that we described. And so you then take that into your night and the rest of the week. Or if you're going to join us for the event at night, which I'm so excited about. Okay. I'm a huge manifester, right? I manifested living here, where I'm living, the neighborhood my kids are in, the job that I am creating for myself. And this event is come as your future self, right? Come how you want to present yourself. what you're going to be wearing. I just love that. I love that. Because if you don't dream, so I'm excited about that event at night too. So we end the day with that nice relaxing session. I have a bowls and gong and drum. We'll be walking around the room. And so you get all of that in. It's just a beautiful way to end the day.
Oh, I'm so excited. Oh my gosh, I cannot remember the author's name. He's incredible. I'll remember it in a second. But I've been reading his book, and he, you know how everyone says, fake it until you make it.
Yeah.
He says, feel it until you make it. Be it. Be the same. Be, do, have. So the things that we see in our future, be it, do it, feel it. That was such a light bulb moment when I first heard that. And then it's been reiterated through my life, is the things that we say, oh, I really want this. I wish I could have this, or I want my life to look like this. It's the feeling that we're looking for. It's the emotion around that thing. So why can't we feel it? Why can't we be the 2027 us? Whatever we want that woman to be or look like or sound like. So and then when I heard this, feel it, and then you become it. I'm like, oh my gosh, we have so much more control and power over what our life looks like today.
100%.
And that alone, man, if we could all just adopt that and live that way every day, 2026 will look completely different.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm psyched, clearly, for this event and just to be more connected to you in 2026. We'll make sure to share any of the things that you have going on, whether it's classes or groups. I mean, I love the connectivity that comes from just stepping out in faith, you and your business, women showing up, doing something they've never done, especially in this wellness space. If you didn't grow up like Diana did, where this was the norm, some of these things, it can feel very like, woo, what is this? But it feels so aligned once you enter it. And like I said, it's like your body just eats it up and says, yes, this is what we've been craving. Is there any last words or wisdom, advice that you would share for women in our community as we start this new year?
Yeah. So I think a lot of people ask, like, what are small things that I can do to live a healthier lifestyle? And I'll say, like, the podcast for me is amazing. I get to educate women about like alternative ways to heal their mind, body, and soul. But it's been eye-opening for me because I've gotten more insight into how intertwined our bodies are. And so there's like 5 things I would recommend women can do, 4 of which, by the way, are free and you can access today. Okay. The first is sleep. It is so incredibly important for us to get sleep. It's recommended 6 to 7 hours. But while you're sleeping, your body is like doing a lot of different things, getting rid of toxins, balancing out your hormones, especially for women in my age group right now who are perimenopausal or menopausal. Like, that sleep is so important, and that gets interrupted because our hormones are all over the place. So getting good sleep is really number 1. Number 2, get outside, breathe fresh air. If you're feeling overwhelmed, take off your socks, walk barefoot on the ground and ground yourself. My 3rd is breath. I had a speaker talk about somatic breathing, and I did a 15-day challenge with her. And then I did another one with my listeners after the fact on social media. Wow. Just by breathing 2-3 minutes a day, like carving that time out for myself, made such a difference in how I reacted to my children, how I managed and made decisions. I was so much more regulated. So that's huge and free. And you could do it wherever, whenever you are, Right. And then the 4th is ease, is like pausing. This is going to be my 2026 goal for myself, is to allow myself time to take a breath, to pause, to recharge, just to have time to like create, imagine, journal, meditate. I don't do that as well as I should. And that is so important. There's a speaker at the event, Erin Wallen, who talks about this and just the importance of you can work less and be more successful. That concept to me is like something I want to fully embrace. In the year of the horse, right?
Yes.
It's time for us to like move forward. And then the last is really just, this is a big passion of mine, is to look at the products you're using every day. So this is your detox journey. Focus on your personal care and your cleaning supplies, and just slowly become aware of what you're using. And the number 1 thing I say for that is just look for fragrance. And if it's on your product, put it back on the shelf and just slowly replace, because that has a big long-term effect on your health.
It's depressing in one sense when you see how many terrible things, but encouraging there are alternatives. So I think it can feel really
There are so
overwhelming, especially if health and wellness at this level hasn't been a part of your life, maybe until now, or it's maybe a resolution. There are alternatives for almost everything. And sometimes work better. Your house will smell better. You'll feel better. I mean, it's so for anyone that just heard Diana say that, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to overturn my house. But just one cabinet, start there. There's so many options. And Diana, do you have some resources that people can say?
Yes, I was going to say, that's when you turn to experts like me.
Mm-hmm.
And I will bring on experts that will talk about these things.
Yeah.
So that doesn't have to be so incredibly overwhelming. There's brands that I've been using for 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to talk about brands unless I know that they work and they are healthy. And I have so many stories even behind my kids' health and how much it's changed since I've incorporated these things. But that's where, you rely on people like me and others that have the expertise in those areas, because you cannot be an expert, be a mom, have that job, like do all the things. Like it's just unrealistic. So we have social media, which is a tool that actually my mom never had back in the day when she was trying to search for answers. So leverage that and make sure that you do your due diligence, that the people are honest and using products that make sense. But yeah, it doesn't have to be so overwhelming. You just have to start small.
Well, so much good, I believe, for in the year of the horse. We're ready. I think all of us were like, we're done with the snake. We're done with we're ready to move on. And for all of you that have just eaten up this content and want to learn more, definitely follow Diana Women's Wellness Authority podcast. You'll see her sound healing events there, the communities that she's creating. So we'll make sure to link all of your socials so people can connect and follow. And I would encourage you to reach out, send her a message, and whatever questions you have, send them to Diana. She is a wealth of knowledge and just exudes genuine love and a calmness. And I think in a society when everyone's so high strung and stressed out, you stand out, because when you meet someone and they're regulated, it's crazy. That's what I felt when I first met you. So ladies, I encourage you, reach out to Diana. If you want to see her in person, the soonest availability you can, January 10th, join us at the summit, but she'll have other things that you can plug into throughout the year. So this is just an encouragement to all of us. This year will be different. Not only are we going to change our story, change how we treat ourselves and the time we give ourselves to just breathe. So, Diana, thank you for your time. It is such a gift. Ladies, thank you for watching Women of Fort Mill podcast. If this episode has helped you, just share it with your friends. I think all of us know women that could benefit from this. So have a wonderful week, and we will see you soon.
Happy New Year, everyone.